Okay, so say the Department of Defense Civil Disturbance Plan is a general U.S. Army and National Guard plan to respond to major domestic civil disturbances within the United States. The plan was developed in response to the civil disorders of the 1960s and is now under the control of U.S. Northern Command, NORTHCOM. It provides federal military and law enforcement assistance to local government during times of major civil disturbances. The Garden Plot Plan, drafted after the Watts, Newark, and Detroit riots, captures the acrimonious times when the document was drawn up. Now you see, Watts, Newark is New Jersey, Watts is California, and Detroit is Michigan, right? They say the section outlining the Army's perception of the situation in America certainly insinuates an establishment that was afraid of the disenfranchised. The plot warns against racial unrest as well as anti-draft and anti-Vietnam elements. Garden Plot was last acted as Noble Eagle to provide military assistance to civil authorities following September the 11th, 2001 attacks on the United States, which has since been discovered that the Bush and Cheney administration was behind the whole plot. The Pentagon also activated it to restore order during 1992 Los Angeles riots under Homeland Security restructuring. It has been suggested that the similar models be followed. So the only time it's been used is in recent times, and they've been used by government-initiated actions. This is how y'all knew y'all was still at war, because they still planning war strategies to attack the citizens that they supposed to be working for. They got us thinking that they supposed to work for us while all the time we working for them and don't even know it. Right? So Operation Garden Plot ties in to a document known as Readiness Exercise 1984. And it's commonly called Rex 84. But I want to go to something specific. The Rex 84 was written by Oliver North, also known as Lord Alfred's Plan. And Lord Alfred was the Lord Alfred of Wessex. Y'all can look him up. So it's called the King Alfred Plan. It is a fictional CIA-led scheme supporting an international effort to eliminate people of African descent, invented by author John A. Williams in his novel, The Man Who Cried I Am, right? But what they didn't tell you is that there was an actual document called Readiness Exercise 1984, was a classified scenario. Classified means that the public is not allowed to know. And drill developed by the United States federal government to detain large numbers of United States citizens deemed to be national security threats in the event that President declared a national emergency. The plan was first revealed in detail in a major daily newspaper by reporter Alfonso Shardy in July the 5th, 1987 edition of the Miami Herald. Remember, the Seminole Wars, they never gave up. Possible reason for such a roundup were reported to be widespread opposition to U.S. military invasion abroad, such as if the United States were to directly invade Central America. To combat what government perceived as subversive activities, the plan also authorized the military to direct ordered movement of civilian populations at state and regional levels, according to Professor Diane Reynolds. Okay, now, the key part here is authorize the military to direct ordered movements of civilian populations. Trail of Tears all over again. If y'all start waking up, they're going to put the Trail of Tears all over again. All right. Existence of master military contingency plans, of which Rex 84 was a part. Operation Garden Plot and a similar, Operation Garden Plot and a similar earlier exercise called Lantern Spike were originally revealed by journalist Ron Ridenour. So these are actual government operations that's confirmed and cataloged. Transcripts from Iran-Contra hearings in 1987 record the following dialogue between Congressman Jack Brooks, Oliver North's attorney Brendan Sullivan, and Senator Daniel Inouye, the Democratic chair of the Joint Senate House Committee. Congressman Jack Brooks asks Colonel North, in your work at the NSC, were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government in the event of major disasters? And he didn't answer. His lawyer objects. So he say, Senator asks, I believe the question touches upon highly sensitive and classified areas, so may I request that you not touch upon that? So they don't even want him asking about it. But Brooks replied, I was particularly concerned, Mr. Chairman, because I read in Miami papers on several others that there have been plans developed by the same agency or a contingency plan in the event of emergency that would suspend the American Constitution, and I was deeply concerned about it and wondered if that was an area in which he had worked. I believe that it was, and I wanted to get this confirmation, right? So the lawyers say, may I most respectfully request that the matter be touched upon at this stage. Okay, so now, contingency plans by the U.S. government for rounding up people perceived by the government to be subversive or a threat to civil order have existed for many decades. For example, from 1967 to 71, the FBI kept a list of over 100,000 people to be rounded up as subversive, dubbed ADX lists. Now look, the ADX list is called the FBI indexes or index list, was a system used to track American citizens and other people by the Federal Bureau of Investigations before the adoption of computerized databases. The index list was originally made of paper index card, first compiled by J. Edgar Hoover at Bureau of Investigations before he was appointed director of the FBI. The index list was used to track U.S. citizens and others believed by the FBI to be dangerous to national security, and was subdivided into various divisions which generally were rated based on different class of danger the subject was thought to represent. There is no indication the FBI stopped adding names onto its index list before September 11, 2001. Okay, so now, this they was working on this since 67. Right? Which brings us to Larry Hoover. Right? Now, this Larry Hoover, for y'all who don't know, and when we saying free Larry Hoover, this takes you back to what I was saying. He is the chairman of the board. Larry is a spokesman. Now, the FBI file system was called ADEX. Look at the name of the place that they was holding him. The E is missing, right? It's an ADX, Colorado. This how you know that there was part of the COINTELPRO operations. We already went over that, right? So let's go to when he first got locked up. On the evening of February 26, 1973, William Pookie Young, a 19-year-old neighborhood drug dealer, was abducted and later shot to death in an alley near 68th Street and Union Avenue in Chicago's Inglewood neighborhood. His killing was ordered, allegedly, by Hoover after his name was mentioned as one of 3 people accused of stealing drugs and money from the gang 6 days earlier. Right? Now, first of all, Larry never gave, you can't prove that. But they use this is the case they use in the years 1973. Right? And at the time of 9/11, they knew that the FBI was still neutralizing leaders that they deemed to be a threat. Right? So who was behind the plot? In 1974, after the leader of the Black Disciples, David Barksdale, died from kidney failure by an injury due to an earlier shooting, Hoover took the reins of the Black Gangster Disciple Nation under his wings. All right? Just so y'all know, his kidney failure it's called renal failure, was due to being given rat poison by the police. So we know what happened to King David. That's not a secret. They was doing that back then, and it was called a hot shot. So when King David passed in 74, GD 19, Sacred Seal, GD Growth and Development, Larry take the reins. Now, how old is Larry in 1974? Because he was born in 1950, so he a 24-year-old kid. Never seen the street again, and he still haven't to this day. This is how COINTELPRO work in our community. Right? So now they got him off the streets, but he started becoming effective when he started doing community work from inside to stop the violence with something called the 21st Century Vote. The wrong thing. I'm thinking I'm over here. That's too little. I can't even read that. Notice what it say. 21st Century Vote giving gangs tastes of real power. Right? Larry organized, telling his people to organize this from prison. This is what made them come with the next array of charges. Now, September the 28th, 1994, this article is from Chicago Tribune. It say, Brown, known outside a few Southside neighborhoods a mere 18 months ago, political group called 21st Century Vote has made good this year on its goal of foraging gang members into a political force in the city. Politicians of all kinds, black and white, liberal and conservative, have courted its influence, confident that the group can register voters, raise money, and elect mayoral and aldermanic candidates. They're just talking about in Chicago alone. Like the best ward organizations from the city's past, the group has embraced the classic strategies of providing jobs and community services such as neighborhood cleanup. That's basically paying your children to clean the neighborhood they live in instead of letting it go to blight like we always do. Right? So they understood now the power of the people reclaiming their autonomy. Right? So this is why we talking free Larry Hoover now. This very reason, because when he was organizing 21st Century Vote, Vice Lord Stones and GDs and BDs was all working together to raise that shit together. Right? And at the same time, they was taking another brother off the streets of Chicago, and we wasn't watching diligently our leadership. So we can see who's protecting us from the enemy. Jeff Fort, also known as Abdul Malik Kabah, is an American gangster and former gang leader from Chicago. Ain't that how they paint him? Why they doing all the gangster shit though? Watch this. Fort co-founded Black Peakstone Gang and is the founder of his El Rookin faction. Fort is currently serving a 168-year prison sentence after being convicted of conspiracy and weapons charges in 1987 for plotting to commit attacks inside the U.S. in exchange for weapons and $2.5 million from Libya, ordering a murder in 1981 and a conviction for drug trafficking in 83. Right? So he got took off the streets in 81, but he had only been back on the streets like a couple of years from getting out of the youth authority. And he's 3 years older than Larry. So he was also a young man, probably close to 30 when they took him out of circulation. Right? And they got the respect in the community. And I'm going to show y'all Chief Malik Angel Bay, Jeff Fort. Now, this is the same man, when they were shooting brothers in the back in Chicago,
threatening Chicago police officers. It was a threat that the gang was more than ready to make good on.
And there's not going to be no killing without killing, gentlemen. With all due respect, definitely not going to be any killing without killing. You know, I would like that to be clear for the record. I understand the fact that we got police in here. I wanted you to be here to understand what I said.
The police were outmanned, and they knew it.
They were more powerful than the police.
So the police was at the time in the political climate in our community in California, they using something called a chokehold to kill us. Police doing this ain't done by gangbangers. It's done by the police, what I'm talking about. But in Chicago, they would say run. If you don't want to go to jail, run. And when you take off and run, they shoot you in the back and say you was trying to escape, and they was beating the case on that shit. So this man took it up on himself to say, man, this ain't right what they doing to us in our own communities, shooting us in the back like that. We gonna have to fight back. We have no choice. They done already made us the enemy, and ain't nothing we can do about it. They knew that they didn't want to take it to the extreme of killing him because that causes a war in the streets of Chicago where we could clearly see who the real enemy is. And it would have been the police be riding down shooting people like thugs and gangbangers like they always do. Right? So these is the real organic leaders to the land, indigenous to over here. Right? So, we got to get back to our roots. We got to understand our understanding of Big Mama clearly. Right? And, I'm going to close out with this statement. Watch and listen.
Got a gun in my pocket. You haven't seen nothing.
Look. Mother is the name for God on the lips and hearts of all children. Do you understand? Morphine is bad for
you. And that would be Brandon Lee from The Crow. And that's probably why you ain't here no more. So, if y'all understand Big Mama, one more thing. I got one more thing I gotta show y'all. All right, this is on the temple ceiling. This is the ceiling of the temple on up top. As above, so below. Now watch this. I'm gonna blow the picture up. As big as I could get it. But if you look right here, this Big Mama, you see her with that butcher knife in her hand? Right? See that leg of lamb right there? Right? You see that dog in front of her, right? She's holding it in her left hand. That means that she came to tear some shit up. It's extreme protective. Right? And then when you down here, you start seeing all your other zodiac signs in the 12 houses. But that's called the center seat. That's the kitchen of the great houses of the zodiac. That's Big Mama's spot. That's where she mixes up and chef up the soul food, the food to feed us our souls from the other side. And then the Big Mamas on the ground follow the same energy patterns and become the matriarchs that like to feed people food all the time. Right? So that's why it's an insult when you go over Big Mama house and she offer you a plate and you turn it down. That's considered an insult. If you don't believe me, you can ask the Italians. You can ask the Sicilians. You can ask the Africans. You can ask the Hispanics. And you can ask the Asians. Because if you don't remember their culture, you should remember yours. Right? Because in our culture, Big Mama is the Supreme Court judge. And what Big Mama say in the family is the final judgment, whether you like it, whether you don't like it. Whether you agree with it or whether you disagree with it. She don't care as long as it maintains the balance and it maintains the proper order. Big Mama don't care. She just as soon take that meat cleaver and whop you upside your head with it if she is to cut up something for dinner. right? So in some cultures, that meat cleaver is a sandal. In some of them, it's a boot. In other ones, it's a glass slipper. In other ones, it's a ruby slipper. Depending on the culture, depend on the ruling symbol of the mother's power. So we say Big Mama got on man shoes. When we say Big Mama got on man shoes, that means Big Mama came to put the house in order since everybody else don't want to listen. So she cut everybody loose. She turned all her boys loose and tell them to solve the problem. The resolution to the problem rests in the sufficient public demand for Free Larry Hoover. The Free Larry Hoover movement is more than just Larry Hoover. It's the chiefs across the land. It's the restoration of the matriarchy. It's the restoring of the people to their rightful place and positions on earth. That's your option, right? You don't have to participate and you don't have to believe me. But I'm going to call this one a wrap here. We on a unity quest. Free Larry Hoover is the battle cry. Organize your people based on knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And let love, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness open up the gateway for all of us as we stand on all 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Let us know that in the end, it's just us going to be able to claim our shit because it don't belong to nobody else. Can't nobody else claim it. So when sufficient enough of us claim it, those who went astray and didn't want to claim their shit won't have anything, and that's on them. Right? Bell and the Dragon and the Apocrypha. That is correct. So, with that, peace out. Let the East meet West. Let the beginning rise from the end. And don't fall for that war shit or that pandemic shit. It's all a game. It's all the rules to distract you from getting what's yours. Why in the fuck would we fuck with Russia going in there when they didn't fuck with us going in Iraq? Make that shit make sense. That's the question y'all need to be asking Biden. They didn't stop America from invading Iraq and Afghanistan under false pretenses when all of the intelligence agencies around the world knew it was going to happen beforehand because they had a memo on the channels for the spies to use in their network. It was already out. Everybody knew. So if they gonna run up in the country that they claim got weapons of mass destruction, tell Biden to sit his bitch ass down and get out that man's way. But what y'all don't know is all of those are reenactments of what they was doing over there during the Trump administration. Over here, Putin and the real leaders from the people over there that's organic to the land over there was doing the same thing there. The sisters, the women in China got together and they done the same thing there. And y'all sleeping because all of the Pacific Islanders is reclaiming they shit. Everybody doing it around the world, but our people not paying attention to the process. You can't do paperwork to get you out of a artificial system that's predicated upon the paperwork, proving that you are not competent to be out of that system. So I hope y'all understood everything and the message was clear. Y'all understand Big Mama coming, whether you like it or not. And it had nothing to do with, I did my part. She ain't mad at me. So everybody that don't do your part, go wrestle with Big Mama. Right? Cause she gonna chop your ass up with that goddamn cleaver. She got about as much remorse for your ass as an alligator. Cause y'all don't want to listen to me. So, as above, so below, as within, so without. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Let the ancestors say, in all in unison, ashe. We declare. Bring this motherfucker down. Chant down Babylon on a Marley Lane flip. Peace out.